Well, hello, everybody. This is We Watch Shudder. I'm Michelle, and I'm having a panic attack. Who's here with me?
It's your worst nightmare.
Oh, no. It's Michael Jackson chasing me in my grandmother's basement. Oh, no. I had a recurring nightmare about Michael Jackson chasing me because I saw the Thriller music video when I was a young tot, and it scarred me.
Anyway, it's JD is who it is.
It is JD. Yeah.
It's always
and it's
JD.
Michelle. I'm waiting for my Xanax to kick in. We'll see how that goes.
It's always Michelle. It's always JD. It's not always a panic attack, but when it is also a panic attack, it's also drugs.
But it is also always a therapy episode.
Always. We'll get to that,
Always.
I'm sure. You know what else it is, Michelle?
Yeah.
It's 300 goddamned episodes of this show as of this episode here today.
Do you think that's why I'm maybe panicking? Just too much pressure?
No.
Pressure?
No,
okay.
I doubt that's... if there's
Fair.
suddenly pressure on episode 300, we're in real trouble. That doesn't bode well for the future. 300 episodes. I tell you what, if you had told me in like 2020 that I was going to start a podcast that would eventually go at least 3 years and 300 episodes, I would have been like, no, I won't. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'd be like, okay, maybe, but anyway, it feels nice to have 300 episodes. I don't know how to talk about it because I'm dumb.
I probably would have been like, well, time to throw in the towel if that's my future. Sounds awful.
Wow.
Sounds like a lot of work, and I'm tired just hearing about it.
Wow.
But see, that's 3 years ago when I had no commitment to it, and I would have been like, what do you mean you want to do 300 episodes of a podcast? That sounds awful. But here we are.
That's fair. That's very fair.
And to be fair, it is awful.
Yeah.
We are awful.
I tried really, really hard to get our 3-year anniversary and our 300th episode at the same time, but we just weren't quite able to make it happen. And so for a while we were thinking, let's just do episode 300 as an episode. And then because it's impossible for me to lie about things, let me put this as nicely as possible. Michelle and I watched the movie and we were like, probably better off if we just don't talk about this one. And we said, you know what? Fuck it. It's 300 episodes. Let's do something we love. And what did we decide to do, Michelle?
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Motherfucker. Michelle sent me a list after we decided we were going to try and do something special. I said, you pick. What are we going to do for number 300? And she sent me a list, and the list is just like, these are my favorite horror movies of all time or whatever, or the movies that I go back to and rewatch all the time. And it wasn't quite at the top of the list because the list was in alphabetical order, and it's a B.
Attack the Block was before it, yep.
Yeah, the second one on the list. And I didn't even look at the rest of the fucking list. I just immediately said, I went back and I said, Behind the Mask, that's the one we're doing.
Yeah.
And I was, as soon as I saw it, I was stoked. Behind the Mask, The Rise of... I'm not even going to wait till we get it. Like, this is Five Skull territory for me. I fucking love this movie. You're a Five Skull on this, aren't you, Michelle?
Never would have guessed that one of the greatest movies of all time, aka one of the movies on my all-time favorite horror movies of all time. It's okay. It gets a 4.
I
have really high standards for the favorite movies list.
I did feel awfully silly when I sent you that message last night where I was like, hey, this is definitely a Five Skull movie for you, right? You want to just confirm that? And then I was like, yeah, of course it is. But a movie that started out very small, played the festival circuit, got some attention. I think had just a very, very small, limited theatrical run. And then as far as I know, really, you probably know more about the details on this than I do, Michelle, but really sort of made its name in the DVD market, kind of real grassroots by word of mouth. Is that not the case?
I believe so. I don't know a lot about the behind the scenes. I was hoping to find like a like fan made documentary or something, because I figured with this being what it is that like
Okay.
somebody must have, and I did not find one.
Have you never seen this movie on DVD, Michelle?
Oh, I have. I'm saying like to prepare for this episode, I have it on DVD. Didn't even think to go look at my special features on the DVD and watch the behind. I haven't seen it since high school, the behind the scenes. And instead I went to Google and completely forgot, because even though I own the DVD, I still rented it because I didn't feel like going downstairs to watch it.
I had to do some digging after I rewatched the movie last night, because there was a scene that I was so sure was in the movie that I remember seeing, and I don't remember it being in. I didn't see it when I watched the movie, and it turns out it was a deleted scene that I had seen on the special features there. We'll talk about it more when we get into it, but I found on YouTube they have basically all of the DVD special features up there for you to be able to watch, for anybody out there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's like the deleted. There's one thing that's just a big chunk. It's about an hour long, and it's the making of and the extended scenes and the deleted scenes.
Well, I guess I did not look closely enough. And see, this
No,
is
that's
the
cool.
problem. If
know
I
you've
run a search
seen
on my
them, yeah.
phone, I'm not gonna find shit. I am not a phone person. I actually I got my hair did today. Went to see my friend Brittany to get my hair good, and I was telling her I am not a phone person. I'm a very tech friendly person. I work tangentially in IT, kind of in IT. And I understand computers. Like if my internet goes down, I know to unplug it and plug it back in. I know the basics. Has it been plugged in? Have you checked to see if it's turned on? See, I know the basics of IT. But I hate using my phone for things. I hate it. Everything requires a laptop screen at the minimum. If somebody texts me, I usually pull up the phone app on my computer so I can type and respond to them, because I hate texting.
I am not the biggest fan of phone-sized electronics either. Like, even when I'm out driving DoorDash, I would rather have like a tablet-sized thing up in front of me than just my phone. Because I got
you like the middle screen? Yeah, medium size.
Well, at least that is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Obviously, if I had my druthers, I do like the bigger screens. Laptop is how I prefer to do everything. But I figure but it's all because I got these big, fat, meaty fingers, right? And I have fat finger stuff all the time, and and my eyes are not the best as good as they were when I was 20 years younger. So, yeah, I would definitely prefer like a tablet to a laptop situation. Fucking cell phones are dumb. Why did we do this to ourselves?
I don't like the lack of tactile feedback. Did I press the right button? Are my hands in the right spot? And like the clickety clackety like of a keyboard is so nice.
Your phone doesn't offer haptic feedback?
No. Well, let me correct. I probably turned it off when I got my phone.
Oh. Because it'll do that. It'll respond to when you
Yes.
touch the keys if you ask it.
It absolutely can. But then that drives me crazy too. It's not the same as like having my hands on a keyboard and knowing that I pressed my right hand's middle finger down and I typed an I. Like this, it's just buzzing, but it does not mean anything. It doesn't actually tell me like I clicked a thing in the right place. If it did that, like different parts of my phone felt differently, probably be on board with that.
All right. I'll take your
I'm a
word for all of
particular
that.
person.
I'm just going
I
to be
have
particular.
things and I like them away.
I'm just going to be completely honest with you, Michelle. I kind of gapped out there for about 10 seconds while you were talking. It's not your fault. It's the drugs.
I also gapped out.
But while you were talking, I do that sometimes. That's real fun.
I go
You
on
come
autopilot.
all of a sudden, you come to the end of a sentence and you have no fucking idea how you got there.
I tend to laugh at my own jokes because I don't know I'm going to make those jokes until I do. And then I react as other people are reacting. I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's really funny. And I had no idea I was about to say that. Like, it's not that I'm full of myself. It's I don't know what I'm about to say. And sometimes it's really funny.
Yeah,
sometimes it's not. There's a lot of times it's not.
Last night at my trivia game that I host every Friday night, one of my regular teams that I've become really friendly with, I overheard one of the team members say, as I got older, my dad got smarter, and before I could even stop to think about it or filter myself, I turned to him and I said, "Yeah, that's weird. As I got older, my dad got deader."
I knew where that was
dark,
going.
right? Yeah,
I
of
knew
course
where that
you
was
did.
going.
Of course you did, because you're
It's
fucked
great.
up as I am. But yeah,
I
I
am a
was
little
just like
fucked up.
without even thinking about it. That's just the first thought I had, and out it came. So yeah. Anyway.
So good.
Good
So
times. We're here to talk about Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie
That was
Vernon.
a little peek behind our masks.
Oh, I see what
See?
you did
Good
there.
segue.
That was
Yep.
really well done, Michelle.
Yeah,
Really
a
well
little
done.
Peek behind our masks. You get that, you guys? Peek behind our masks.
I see what you did. That's
Yeah.
real good. All right, so anyway, yeah, a real sort of grassroots, sort of cult, like legitimate kind of cult movie type of development for this one. Really grew by word of mouth and spread that way. Michelle, do you remember specifically how you first heard about this movie and how you saw it? Was this an Uncle Jeff situation?
No, this was a Ukiah Trigg situation. My high
Alright.
school sweetheart's older brother got me into a lot of different horror movies too. He's the reason I knew what the guinea pig films were. One of my favorite movies, it's a German movie called Suicide, which is essentially these people just filming other people's suicides, and it looked very realistic.
That's a real clever title.
Yeah, I know. One of my favorite movies, and almost no one has seen it. The last horror movie you'll ever watch, something like that, some title along those lines, is another one. Yeah, so this was Up to You, Kaya. I know exactly where I was when I saw it because it had a big impact on me.
Yeah, me as well. The first time I saw this, I watched it with my lifelong, one of my very best friends, to the extent where I consider him a brother, Brandon Baker. He and his girlfriend at the time had gotten it on DVD because he had heard about it from somebody. And I was living with them at a time. We shared a house where I kind of lived in the basement sort of situation. And we all got together and watched that movie at the house that night, and I was just floored. I remember it, much like you said, like the impact was so huge that I'll remember. I remember the room we were sitting in. I remember where I was sitting in that room. This is a crazy, awesome movie.
It's a good horror movie. It's a good homage to other horror movies. It has really great comedy. Everything about this is just, it's a nice, well-rounded, great piece of cinema.
Well, and on top of all of that, one of the things that I love about it the most is it's also like all the different elements in here are things we have seen before, but the way this movie is put together and the way it sort of transitions from being one thing to being something else completely, but in a way where the first hour of the movie still successfully serves as what should have been the first hour of the movie that it became, going from kind of a mockumentary to a slasher situation. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that does this.
I just realized we should probably tell them there's going to be spoilers up front, that we're not doing a spoiler-free section.
I'll
totally forgot.
I'll throw a... this is one, guys, that it's pointless for us to... We're just going to talk about it. A bunch of you have seen it. Of course, we didn't forget, Michelle, because clearly I remembered to go back and throw a warning at the beginning of the episode.
Right.
Telling them...
I just wasn't paying attention when you did that
that's,
warning
that's
at the very
fine.
beginning of the episode. I was
how
blanked out.
It's
Having a panic attack.
Well, you had all them Xanaxes, and so
all
by the time
them Xanaxes.
right, by the
Should
time
I
I went back in time,
a plot summary?
Yeah, you know what? Because there's still going to be people who haven't.
There will absolutely be friends who
haven't
have
watched
not
the
seen this.
movie. So yeah, why don't we do that, Michelle?
Okay.
Because I imagine this is going to be pretty interesting. On the count of how many times do you think you've seen this movie, Michelle?
It's one that I love so much I don't watch very often so that it stays kind of fresh. But when you mentioned that you wanted to do this one, I had said, like, I thought we did that on the podcast. And then I was like, no, it was a Michelle in review a couple months ago. No, it was January 2024 was the last time I saw this movie. And that feels, I thought it was just like 2 months ago. But I guess I got it fresh in my head because I watched it a year ago. I usually go like every 5 years, and then I'm like, it's time. But my husband had never seen it, so I got really excited getting to introduce him to Leslie Vernon.
Nice. Yeah, this is one that I've shown to a lot of people for the first time. It's that kind of movie, right? Where when you find out that somebody you know who is into this sort of stuff has not seen it, like the hair stands up on your arms and you get excited. You're gonna get to show this to somebody for the first time, because that's as close as you're ever gonna get to seeing it for the first time again, right? And God, it's such a fantastic movie. Anyway, yes, I imagine at least what I was getting at is that you've seen this enough times that your plot summary should be pretty fantastic.
Well, let's hope, because also sometimes I'm so close to a property that then my plot summary sucks because I either forget everything because it's so obvious to me that happened, or I just have nothing clever to say and I only have the facts. So let's see how this
I believe
goes.
in you, Michelle. I always have.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh no, the panic attack's starting again. Apparently there's too much pressure. Maybe this is why I've been panicking for an hour. I
don't believe in you, Michelle. I never have.
Thank you. Opposite of Tinkerbell. Do not believe in me, and I do better. Okay, so there's a lady. Her name's Taylor. There's a different lady. She's a virgin. Or is she? That'll come up later. But she's a high schooler, and she starts out in... Or is she college?
I'm pretty sure they're college age.
Okay. No, I know the actress. We see her boobs. So, like, I don't remember. They're students.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's college.
Okay, that makes sense. But, like... Slasher film. They don't always.
No,
Yeah.
It's a fair conundrum. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, student. So she's a virgin, maybe not. And there's this Leslie Vernon guy, and he is going to serial kill her. But not really, because she's his final girl. He's working up this whole thing. Oh God, where do I start? Okay. You know how people like Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason exist? They exist in this world. Serial killers are a well-known thing in this world. All of those people exist here. And Taylor wants to do a documentary about one of them. His name is Leslie Vernon, and he is going to go on his own slashing spree based on the lore of his character that he essentially made up, kind of based on some facts, kind of not. He edited some newspaper clippings, and now he's picked out his final girl. And this final girl, Kelly, he's like preparing her. So he's like freaking her out at work. He kills a librarian, Zelda Rubinstein, in front of her. Just got to really prep her. So we're switching between Taylor filming this documentary and then seeing things play out as though it is an actual horror scene in the exact way that Leslie said that it would do that. Leslie is incredibly charismatic. The only note that I wrote down, because I wasn't sure if I was going to take notes, is just sexual tension. That's the only note, and then I didn't write anything else. Halfway through the movie, they get to the big scene that always happens in a slasher film, where now all these kids are partying, and they're drinking, and they're having sex, and he's playing it out, showing them, like, I'm going to go here, and then they're going to do this, and I'm going to turn off the lights, and we're going to do this. So he plays through this whole thing, and then the movie suddenly changes, and it is not a documentary. Now we are watching a traditional slasher horror film, because they realize that Taylor, the host of this documentary, has been the final girl the whole time. She is a virgin. Leslie knew that. Leslie has actually been prepping Taylor. So now we are watching this slasher film, and we don't actually know how it's going to play out, because this is something that Leslie did not show us, because he knew that Taylor was going to turn things around and be like, we can't let this happen, and try to save them. So at the end, she winds up crushing Leslie's head in an apple crusher machine. I think that's the scientific name.
Cider press.
Cider press, yes. So she makes quite an impression on him. And she is the final girl, and she gets away. And then we have the credits with the song that I just forgot the name of, but that I love. Yes.
Psycho Killer.
Thank you. Which I know, but blanked. Because that's one of my burlesque songs. I do my Jason Voorhees routine
Awesome.
to Psycho Killer. And so every time I hear it, I'm like, it's this. But we're seeing Leslie Vernon laying in the morgue, his body. And you just know, because the entire time the credits are rolling, that song's playing, we're just watching this guy preparing to do an autopsy. And right at the end, Leslie Vernon pops back up. He's back, baby. I can't keep him down. And then we never got a sequel. And we never will get a sequel, but that's okay. This is just perfect, and it does not need more. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah. Again, I want to start just by talking about what you were mentioning a lot of there. Is the way this transitions from being a mockumentary about like, oh, what if slasher movie killers were real and we're gonna follow one around while it gets a lot of note for being very meta in that it's going to deconstruct a lot of these slasher tropes in a very hilarious way. I actually mentioned to you before we started recording, there was a scene, one of my favorite moments in this movie is actually from a deleted scene. But they've got that whole sequence where he's talking about how he's got to exercise a lot. He's got to do a shit pile of cardio.
Yes.
Because, it's you got to be able to do that whole thing where it looks like you're just walking, but you're keeping up with them. That's
not a deleted scene.
No, there's a deleted.
That part's okay.
There's a deleted scene where he actually demonstrates what he does, and so like when they're running away, he's running right behind them, and then if they happen to turn and look over their shoulder, he just sort of stops and goes into a walk like he's lumbering after them. It's so it's so funny in the way it's aware of those tropes, but is also. It's the kind of funny where it's so obviously done out of love and not out of like, oh, these movies are stupid. Look at these dumb things that they always do. And on that level, I really appreciate it. But they, right from the very beginning, right, the opening scene is traditional movie style. And then they pull a fast one on us because later in the movie, in the mockumentary, they show you all the setup for that. And it's like, oh, that's what we were seeing at the beginning of the movie. And it's so on the head that, like, when it gets to that point, when it switches, and now it's not a mockumentary anymore, it's the slasher for the next, I think it's 26 minutes of the film. The last 26 is just straight up slasher. It fucking works seamlessly and perfectly because they so cleverly, while they're doing that mockumentary, set everything up for the third act of a slasher. It's so well written, such a clever story. They even, I obviously didn't catch this the first time I watched it because why would you? But the instant it switches from mockumentary to the regular movie style, her line, Taylor's line is, "It's over. The documentary's done." That's what she's saying as it switches over to the slasher thing. And I'm like, oh God, they just nailed it right on the head, right in front of you. This movie is one of those where, like, when it's just as fun to watch a second or third time because now you get to see the things that you didn't see before. Anyway, I've rambled for a while. Have you ever seen a movie that does that? This is the only movie I know of that starts out, does the first hour as a mockumentary with a couple of like, oh, maybe these are like dramatic reenactments, but then it turns out, no, that's actually really happening. Like, have you ever seen, I can't think of a single other movie that does this, but you've seen way more shit than I have.
I feel like I have seen other movies trying to do this, but nothing has done it to this extent, this successfully, and not even close to it.
And would you say they've all been after this? Are there any that you can think? Okay, none of them like this is a first.
No, this is the first one I can think of doing this.
I had never seen anything like it before, and to date, I've never seen anything like it since. What an incredibly, it seems to me like one of like maybe an incident of they got it so, and I mean this can't possibly be true, but it feels like they got it so perfectly on that first go that everybody else is just like, oh, there's no point in ever trying to do that again. Of course, we all know that's never how it goes.
No, they go, I can do that better, and then they don't. I am really into Leslie Vernon. I'm just going to say it. Like, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, why is he so hot? He's super hot, and he's really charismatic.
Yes.
And his chemistry with Taylor, and I think that is really good because he is a funny, quirky, charming guy.
He is the poster boy for likable.
Exactly. And so you're watching him prepare to kill a bunch of people and still rooting for him. They could have gone a different direction and it would have fucked it up by making him like a brooding asshole, like the kind of person you'd expect. But no, he's like making jokes, like Paradise Lost, found it, and then just puts the book and then goes and murders a librarian. He's just so funny and just likable.
Yeah, to the extent that even us, like, and I can even remember the first time I watched it, I'm like, wait a minute. They just watched him murder a librarian, and now they've just all gone back to the van, and they're celebrating how he had this big moment in his story that he's telling. He's got an Ahab. It's just like, and for a minute there, I thought it's just like, oh, this is just going to take us all the way through to the end in his big killing spree, and then it's going to wrap up with kind of a bittersweet but triumphant, like, I did it. I really did it. Now it's time to start getting ready for next year kind of thing. And it kind of did, but it also kind of didn't in a lot of ways. One of the things, I made a bunch of notes about this, just some random things that I wanted to bring up. Do you have a bunch of notes as well?
I have a bunch of mental notes. Here's one that you probably don't have on your list. Kate Miner is the person who plays Kelly.
Caitlin Johnson.
What?
Her before she got married, her name was Kate Lang Johnson. And I remember that in detail because there's an audio commentary on the DVD with, I believe, the Scott, is it Glosserman, the guy who wrote and directed it, and then Angela Gettles and Nathan Basler, or whatever his name is, Basil. Just an audio commentary with them. And Angela was obsessed with saying her full name, Kate Lang Johnson. Kate Lang Johnson. It has great rhythm.
It does.
But
now
that's
it's
why
Kate Miner.
That's why I got confused when I looked at the IMDb. I'm like, why is Kate Lang Johnson not on here?
Kate Miner. Kate Miner's in this, and I have such a hard time separating her from her character on Shameless. Shameless is one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and she plays a character on there named Tammy, who is a massive bitch, and that's her whole thing, is she is just like the worst type of person. But Shameless, basically everybody is the worst type of person.
Is she the one where there's like a famous scene where, I don't know, she does like a dance or something? Oh, or maybe it's like an audition for something. I don't know. I'm probably thinking of something completely different.
Are you thinking of like Schitt's Creek?
That's probably, I don't know.
Like a little bit Alexis?
That's the one.
Okay, that's Schitt's Creek. That's completely different, and yet I'm so happy that I still figured that out. She does a little dance or something. Are you thinking about an actress from a completely different TV show?
Oh, that's the thing is Shameless, Schitt's Creek,
Yeah, I got it. No, that is Tammy would probably never dance willingly. But I watched this and I'm just like, oh, no wonder she's such a bitch and Shameless. She had to go through this whole fiasco. This is an alternative universe and this is what she had to deal with. And now she's jaded and making everybody else's life hard. But yeah, she's the girl from Shameless and that's crazy to me. I figured you had not seen Shameless and would not.
No, I've never seen that.
Love that show. It's so fucking
they talked about it a lot in that commentary, I remember, and you just can't not talk about it. Kate Lang Johnson / Kate Miner. No, they not the show. They talk about the thing I'm about to say.
Oh, I was like, they talked about Shameless a lot in the commentary. It sounds like us doing a commentary where we just go off in a completely random thing.
Ultimately, what I was getting to is she's also insanely tall. Yes. And she's a very tall person. And then they put her also right next to Zelda Rubinstein, who is very not tall. And she looks like a fucking giantess. Like, it was those shots in the library, I'm like, there's no way those are two real people right next to each other. She's got to be 2.5 feet taller. That is probably more like 1.5 feet, but it's so wild how tall she looks next to Zelda Rubinstein.
They probably cast her for that reason. They're like, we already got Zelda. Now we need to find the tallest person.
Well, and that's also, tall, pretty girl is a pretty common final girl trope. It's very easy to accept that and go along with it.
Yeah. But I'd prefer if they just did it because they had Zelda.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Something I did want to mention, just like my very first note that I wrote down, because like they do a lot of referencing of other franchises, right? Like at the beginning, when she's doing her narration, she's talking about how, like, here at Camp Crystal Lake, Jason Voorhees has been terrorizing campers for years. And this, when she gets to the one about Halloween, she says, and this is such a, like, you have to be a fan with enough knowledge. It's not super deep, but it's deep enough. But also, like, you have to be paying attention to catch it. But she says, she's talking about Michael Myers and how he's terrorized Haddonfield on or around Halloween on at least 4 occasions. Because at that time, when this movie came out, they had made everything through Halloween Resurrection. And at that time, there were 2 timelines. You had Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and then you had Halloween 1, 2, H2O, and Resurrection, because H2O completely ignored 4, 5, and 6. So when she said on at least 4 occasions, I fucking howled. And that's the moment, at least for me, that was the moment I knew that I was dealing with the right kind of people on this. And you feel it all the way through because they skewer slasher conventions, right? But in hilarious ways. One of my favorites was just a lot of the times when they talk about just the absurd lengths and details he has to go, like when I gotta edit the newspaper clipping and then I gotta make a new microfiche and I gotta swap that old microfiche out for the new one and then I'm gonna plant. It's so ridiculous, but it's so fucking funny.
I am a little bit sad about this movie. Because it shows that you can get everything perfectly right and still not become famous and stay in the movie industry, and that's a bummer. Like, these people are doing stuff, not doing a lot, and this is something where I'm like, you guys all deserve a star in Hollywood, like on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, we were talking about this again before we hit the record, and it's something that I've heard other people talk about on other podcasts that have discussed the movie. Nathan Basil, he's done some other little bit part acting, but predominantly he works behind the scenes. He's got a ton of post-production supervisor credits, especially on, like, he's done a bunch of episodes of Deadliest Catch and stuff like that. It's wild to me that people weren't and I don't know, maybe there were and he just didn't want to do it, but it's crazy to me that after this movie hit, we didn't see him fucking everywhere, because he is so good, fucking so charming, so believable, just incredibly good. And Angela Gettles, her chemistry with him is palpable. Side note, by the way, did you know she's the girl from Home Alone who
I did.
Says to Kevin, you're what the French call les incompetents?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And somehow that's a bigger acting credit than what she got in this. Isn't that a bummer? That's such a bummer.
Well, I mean, I bet you more people saw Home Alone in the weekend it opened than have seen this movie in its entire lifetime.
Probably.
Which is a bummer,
I had to,
because this is Home Alone is a good movie. At least she wasn't in Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1. It's
I
one
will
of the rare
fucking
occasions where a
stab you,
sequel is
Michelle.
better than the original. I 100% believe that. Not even trolling.
I believe we've been through this before. Yeah, I know you're not trolling, and we got to stop talking about it. I got to remember to not ever bring it up again. Let's continue, please.
Such a good movie. There's a bird lady. I had to go look up what Scott Glosserman is up to. Writer-director Scott Glosserman. Because if you go to his IMDb, there is nothing there. But if you go to his Twitter profile, I tracked him down, and he now has an event company that specializes in nonprofit work and helping people get their message out there, called Gather, spelled Gathr. And so he's in charge of that. He's the founder of it.
I had also seen that he did a couple of documentary films, I think, so actual documentaries after this. I don't remember specifically what
Yes, they're listed on the Gather site.
So they're related to that project. Okay.
Yeah. So he's got
gotcha.
this whole project of activism work, and that's really cool. I think that's neat. So go check out his website, gathr.com.
Nice.
I was just perusing it, and I'm going to go watch some of the videos he's got on there.
I am looking through. I for the first time in a long time, I took a bunch of notes on my phone while I was watching the movie, which is something Michelle can tell you I never do. But this is part of the reason why I never do, because I, of course, was thoroughly medicated while I was watching the movie. And now some of these notes make perfect sense, and I know exactly what I was talking about. And then other times, there's just a line that says something like, the "you love her" scene.
Oh, yeah. I know what that means. That's
Tell
at
me.
the end where she's, they're getting prepared, and she asks him if he loves Kelly. And it has a deeper meaning because we know that that's actually in reference to her. But she doesn't know it.
I'm not sure if that's what I was getting at. I'm going to take your word for it.
Because the exact line is, "You love her, don't you?" So I think that's what you're referring to.
I mean, you're very likely right. I just can't confirm one way or the other because I don't fucking remember what I said that for
fair.
at all.
I mean, you could have even been thinking about a completely different movie. You could have been thinking of Schitt's Creek again.
It might have been Alexis, yes.
Yeah.
Something that I mentioned earlier is I also enjoy how it's a movie that after you know what's going, because I guess let me ask you that before I go into this. When you first saw this movie, when did you figure out, oh, it's been Taylor the whole time? When did you sort that out while you were watching this?
I think I figured it out when her character figures it out. I don't think I got the inkling ahead of time, even though there are a lot of clues.
Yeah, and I had this same experience, and I was a little worried that I was gonna just feel kind of silly, but that's another thing that I love about this is the movie is so well done and so effectively put together that you never. They even tell you he's an unreliable narrator when the Ahab shows up and you find out Leslie Vernon was a real person, but that's not him. He's just playing off an unfortunate tragedy that happened in this town 20-odd years ago. We know he's an unreliable narrator, and we still believe all of it all the way through. But you go back and my favorite example of something in this movie of just like the perfect bit of foreshadowing is as they're going into the library before he kills Zelda Rubinstein. There's a scene in the van where they're talking with each other, and he does the whole, like, this is it. From here, you're either all the way in or you got to go right now. You got to, like, this is the point of no return. And then there's a short sequence as they're crossing the street and going into the back door of the library where we're watching it, but it's the what we're hearing is more narration. And that narration, if you listen to it, is because most of what you see during the narration is Leslie with Taylor, and he's all talking about, you know, you gotta time everything right, and you gotta hope she takes the bait, and you ostensibly talking about Kelly in the library in this thing, but just this movie is so fucking brazen. It knows, it's so confident that it's gonna trick you, that it tells you right to your face what's going on and just completely buffaloes it past you. And I love that moment so much in retrospect. It's so great.
I love Leslie Vernon's costume. What a great choice.
I do
mask.
Have the mask is an incredible mask design, but I actually have a note here that I do, and I'm glad you brought this up. It says scary makeup face.
Yes.
He's almost scarier with just the makeup and the mask off. Like, he immediately, like, it's such a grim, sort of intimidating presence just with that heavy makeup that he's wearing. And I love, he wears that bizarre mask. He's got, like, the overalls. The sickle is such a great signature weapon.
And the way he can flip it really quick, like, that's a cool little serial killer thing.
It's classic slasher killer design. You got the signature weapon, you got and that's when it becomes a slasher. It's a good fucking slasher, right? That's the scene with.
Wait, can I finish talking about the costume
please,
a little bit, please?
Sorry, thank you.
I was like, you're getting so excited. Let me say a few things.
Please do.
Okay, so what I love in particular, great costume on its own, great makeup on its own. But what it really does is we have spent this whole movie liking Leslie Vernon despite knowing what he is doing. And, like, he just fucking killed Zelda, and I was okay with it. I was like, oh, I miss her voice already, but, like, okay, that's fine. Like, she had one of the greatest voices of all time. And, like, we saw all this, and now I think in order to make sure the audience came along on this ride and we started being afraid of him in the way that they had to make that leap, that makeup does such a good job of it, because it shows, like, they could have made it so the mask just comes off, there's not makeup, and, like, when he rips his mask off and he's saying, it's me, like, trying to get to him, but the way that makeup is painted and just, like, the dead stare, he is a different person with or without this mask, and it's the only way that we feel that way towards him. And it's not until the what was it, the cider press, that's what it's called?
Yep.
And at that point, like, a bunch of the makeup is worn off and it finally looks like the remnants of the guy from the beginning, and then we're just, like, immediately distraught about him getting his head crushed. It's so fucking good. It's such a good move. It's a good move.
Yeah, what I love about it is in that end segment, it's they make some statements about slasher movies that I think are a little bit more shrewd than a lot of people would know. Because I think it's very clear here that yes, he is going to try to kill her, and if he is able to, he's going to kill her. But he also knows she's his survivor girl. So in the end, what he really wants is, I guess I wouldn't say he wants her to kill him. He at the very least wants her to think she has killed him. Because they talk about that, how like the OGs were just like a one and done, and then they instituted this new legend of the killer thing, and that's why it's called the Rise of Leslie Vernon. Like, ultimately at the end, even though she defeats him, it all plays as good as well as possible as it could. Leslie fucking wins. Even though she stops him here and survives, he fucking wins. And that's again something that you couldn't have gotten out of this without that whole meta dissection portion that we got for the first hour of this movie.
Going back to the first hour of the movie, having a friend who is a fellow slasher who he can talk about and they can go back and forth, so they didn't have to find a way to have Leslie show us these things. We can reminisce along with his friends, and they can throw in all of this prior movie knowledge and pay homage to it just from their conversation. The reveal that that man's wife is a final girl who got away and then they got married is great.
Do you know the story behind those two characters?
No, I don't.
Okay, so by the time the movie was made, the characters had been revised enough that they aren't really completely anymore. But in the original conception and in the original drafts, that is Billy the killer and Jess the survivor from Black Christmas.
Really?
Yep. Which is why he tells that story that when he butchers the carrots, he's telling a story about how like some guy just like picks a random sorority house and kills a bunch of people and makes a bad name. I believe that's a remnant. I think he's talking about the guy, is it Peter from Black Christmas, who they end up thinking was the killer, and so Billy gets away at the end. There are little remnants of that left throughout here. You know, they're not, their names have been changed. But yeah, in the initial conception, they were intended to be Billy and Jess from Black Christmas.
I love that tidbit. I had no idea.
That's awesome.
See, this is just, it's clearly, I mean, Robert Englund is part of this. Of course, they were going to have like a lot of access to people to make these little references, and knowing that at least some people in the audience were going to get it.
Yeah, and those are being able to get those like getting Robert Englund and getting Zelda Rubinstein, even getting Kane Hodder for a little appearance in there. Those are big things for a movie like this, right? And I think you're only going to get those there are some people who will do whatever they get paid to do, and they don't strike me as quite that level of needing the work, so to speak, right? I don't mean derogatorily that they'll do whatever they can get a paycheck for. I mean, they seem like they've at least reached a level where they can be a little more selective, and so that they would sign on to do this, I think is an incredible endorsement of the film and what it was trying to do. There was one thing I was going to mention, and I'm looking at my notes to see what it was. Oh, I don't know. I think that was it, actually. I think I was going to bring up the whole thing about Eugene and Jamie. Oh, I know exactly what it was. You were talking about, because, yes, it's so funny and so entertaining and so enjoyable, and everybody in this is so likable during that mockumentary portion. And when it does change, you're right, the costume, the mask, the makeup is crucial, but there's one moment earlier in the movie that it happens. It's the only time it happens, but it's so intense, and it's when
I know what you're about to mention.
When Taylor and is it Chuck go into the restaurant and they try to talk to Kelly, and they come out after having the encounter with Doc Halloran, and he's chastising them. He's like, "You're gonna fuck this up for me. Stop that! You just don't. I'm letting you in on something here. Don't fuck this up." And she says to him, you ever live in Reno, Leslie? And he fucking floor slams her up against the side of the van and like almost goes like he's gonna choke her, and every ounce of his charisma and likability for a moment disappears. And I think that's in a lot of ways, I don't know that it's necessarily intended as part of what this movie was about, but that's also, I think people can learn a lot from that moment about how somebody can seem so nice and so friendly and so likable, and in a moment can turn and rip your fucking head off. And like that, and he never has a snap like that again. That's the only time in the entire movie, but at least for me, that was crucial to getting into the vibe in the last part of this movie. Knowing that they're like, whoa, no, they're like, I think to me it said, because like I said, there was a while where I was like, oh, this is just going to be silly fun following the slasher for the entire movie. And I think it's the moment where I said, oh shit, there's something more sinister happening here. And it's just, I can't say enough good things about how well written this movie is. It's such a great idea and perfectly executed.
You're describing how people can be so nice and then turn on a dime, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking hated my Tinder dates. You're right. I am remembering those. Well, yeah, they do change.
You know, that's and it's a very common thing though in a lot of, especially with men. Let's you know, with and men towards women, like and it also speaks volumes that neither one of the cameramen stepped in to do a damn thing. Right? And it's a very powerful moment that's just, it does have a very sudden shift, and it's just enough to make the rest of it just kind of off kilter, because it was still very interesting to me when they killed the librarian, and because then they go and he kills the first two people at the house on the murder night. And now all of a sudden you don't think you can go through with this? Like you were totally fine when it was just the old lady librarian he had murdered. But now he's killed a couple of the kids and we can't. And I think maybe a lot of that is also, I find myself wondering if maybe a part of this is that the idea was supposed to be that they never actually believed this guy was actually gonna kill anybody. You know, and they got the first one, and it's like, okay, maybe, and they still didn't totally buy it. I don't know. That was the one thing that's always been interesting to me, is like they had no problem with, I guess now that I stopped to think about it, the fact that they met the Ahab at the same time shifted the tone of the experience in the context of what they were doing, that they probably just didn't stop to think about it. I just answered my own fucking question.
I was going to say, I need to just, like, start
Thanks for helping
notes.
me.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I want to respond. Nope, okay. Oh, I want to. Nope, okay. You went through, like, 5 different topics, so I'm just going to do the most important response. And that is, there's a squelching subtitle in this, and I got so excited that I yelled. I went, squelching, squelching. And my husband from his office on the other side of the house went, was there a squelching subtitle in Behind the Mask? And I was like, yes, there was. And it's the happiest I've been in a very long time. Also, when I was preparing to watch this movie, I told John that I was going to watch this, and he was like, and I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was something like, that one Leo movie, and I thought he was talking about, like, Leslie and trying to say that. I was like, like that one I've shown you before. He's like, oh yeah, The Man in the Iron Mask. He meant Leonardo DiCaprio in The Man in the Iron Mask, not Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. But the fact that those are so similar in name, like, is just very funny to me. Because I totally thought we were talking about the same movie. He's like, oh yeah, the Leo one. I was like, what the? No, Leslie, not Leo. It's a funny little anecdote.
Well, and now I feel terrible because I went off on Michelle. Here's the thing
it's
that
all
I
good.
should tell you. I actually did start watching you on the webcam more. You should do like a hand raise thing, and I will definitely acknowledge if you have something if you need to interrupt me.
Now that you watch the webcam.
Right. No, well, I do it to you, and it just occurred to me you might want to do that to me, but I'm not actually watching the camera, so I can never know. And then I feel like a jerk, and now I've corrected the issue, and I wanted to, please, if you ever need me to shut the fuck up so you can add something, just steamroll me.
That's a good idea. Yeah, start like raising my hand.
Yes.
Because I do sit here and I go, ooh, no, I don't want to interrupt. Ooh, no, I don't want to
interrupt. No, please. It's not because that's how my brain does that, right? It just runs from thought to thought to thought. No, please. Anyway, God, what a I cannot say enough good things about this. Is there anything, if you were, gun to your head, Michelle, if you had to nitpick or gripe about anything in this movie at all, could you even do it? And if you could, what would it be? Because that would be mine. Is the whole the whole thing with the killing the librarian, but then, like I said, I just sort of talked myself through probably exactly why that didn't get to them quite so severely.
I guess the slasher film, the bits that we get are tropey, and I would not want to watch it if I had to criticize something. I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, it's so tropey. That I know that's more your thing, but okay, the door
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
because you're just not you're not a big slasher fan in general. I got you. Yeah, I see. Yeah, how that could definitely. But I thought it was. That's something that you had brought up that I wanted to mention. Like when they get into that third act, because Taylor is the final girl and not Kelly. We don't know how things quite are going to play out because all of our foreshadowing was the other way. But what I also love is that everything that, if you go back and you compare the foreshadowing sequences to the actual sequences, things are different, but everything that happens to Taylor is just like a substitution, right? She goes back to the woodshed to get the axe, and when she opens it, it's not the stoners in there, it's the camera guy, Todd or whatever. And when she grabs the axe, it's not the two-headed lumberjack axe, it's the one-headed, one-spiked fireman's axe. Just little things along the way. Also, she grabs that axe, and by that time, I've completely forgotten the bullshit about how he rigged all the fucking tools. So when she took a swing at him and it didn't do shit, I was like, of course he did. That's... God, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's so fucking rad.
I also thought, when you were asking if I've seen any movies that do this, where it's found footage and then completely changes halfway through.
Mockumentary.
Yeah, but I mean, in this way.
It's not found footage.
Oh, it is found footage. We'll argue about that some other time.
We'll argue about that forever.
It's on IMDb as found footage, so fuck you. But IMDb is wrong a lot. I was trying to, I had mentioned other movies I had seen because of my friend Yukaya. And the last horror movie is one that I mentioned earlier. But I also realized it does the exact opposite of this. And I just want to throw it out there because I think it's very interesting that I saw these around the same time. And that starts as a horror movie and then turns into found footage with this guy filming himself committing murders and stuff. And I just think that's neat that is the opposite.
Ooh, you'll have to tell me what that is.
The last horror movie, 2003.
Oh. Well, now you just spoiled it for everybody. I was going to have you tell me off the air.
Oh, it's not a spoiler. It's the whole plot of it is that you rented a horror movie, but now this guy shows up instead. He taped over your VHS tape. That's the premise of the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
But it is interesting that it does the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
for
the only one I can think of that's substantial and tried to do something like this. But Oh,
Yeah,
I got nothing else to say. Leslie Vernon's hot. I don't understand
I
it.
strongly recommend you check this one out, guys. If you can get it on DVD, or you definitely want to check out the special features, and you definitely want to check out the director and star's commentary track that came with. I haven't seen it myself in a long time, but at that time I think I watched it with the commentary track probably 2 or 3 times. It's a really good commentary track. The behind the scenes stuff is cool. Some of the extended scenes, I do want to talk about my favorite scene in the movie that's not even in the movie, because I teased it up front and I almost forgot. There's a sequence early on when they're talking with him, and he's talking about his preparations, and he's doing a lot of cardio exercises. He's like, you wouldn't believe how much cardio I got to do. And he's talking about...
You told this exact story already.
I told it to you before we started recording, didn't I?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm going to tell it again just in case.
Okay.
And then we'll just see. I'm pretty sure I told it to you because you interrupted me and said, no, that's still in there. And I'm like, let me finish. Was that on tape?
I'm like 99% positive.
Well, now I'm not sure, so I have to tell it again just in case.
Okay.
Guys,
Okay,
if you're hearing this
I will
again,
pretend.
I'm sorry. But no, it's a deleted
really
scene.
High.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, and I had to do that whole thing with the dog earlier. Anyway.
Yep.
And then so there's like a deleted scene where you actually watch him run real fast, and then when somebody turns around, he stops suddenly and goes into a walking pace, and then he just starts running real fast again when they look away. And I think it's the funniest fucking thing going. And now I'm all self-conscious that this is
very funny.
Yeah, but now I'm all self-conscious that this is the second time we've told it on the recording, and I'm...
And I was going to go along with it, though. Like, oh, wow, that does sound like a really great deleted scene. But then we were talking about how I have it on DVD, and I didn't even think to go downstairs and find it. So
Right. I think that was all before we started recording.
Really?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Let's all find out together.
Let's all
Now
find
who
out.
knows?
Well, they all already know. Guys, is that the first time you heard that story? Is it the second time you heard
We're
that
not
story?
going to go back and listen to it.
Absolutely not. If I told it twice, I told it twice. It is what it is.
You at least told it twice to me. That
Right.
I know
right.
for sure.
That is absolutely. That much
that
I
I'm
know
not wrong
for
about.
sure. Because I think what happened is I started talking about it lightly, but then I was like, oh, I can't remember. Are we going to do spoilers or not? So I didn't go into details, and then I just never got back around to it.
Well, I have no idea.
who
And
knows?
I'm never going to find out. I'm not going to go back and listen. I don't want to know if I was wrong. It's Schrodinger's box of truth, and I don't want to know. Never
Don't
peek inside.
don't tell us either. Like if you're listening, I don't want to know if it is. I don't want to know if it isn't. Don't tell us.
Yeah,
Just
don't tell
just
us.
keep it to your fucking selves. All right? We don't want to
They're
know.
going to tell us. They're
Of
going to
course
tell
they
us.
are, because they're the
They're
worst.
not. They're not going to be able to contain.
You're not the
themselves.
worst,
They're gonna be so
guys.
excited.
You're not the worst. You're the best.
They're going to
300
be really excited.
They're 300 episodes the best, Michelle. 300 goddamned episodes.
The same 5 listeners and nobody else.
I wouldn't go that far. That's a little pessimistic, Michelle.
Yeah. It's good, though, because I feel like I'm socializing, even though sometimes I go weeks without leaving my house or seeing anybody who is not my husband. So I feel like I'm connecting with the outside world, and I'm like, wow, I have a friend in Ireland. Isn't that really cool? But
Yes.
in reality, I'm just a sad girl in an office.
Just a sad girl in an office.
That would be the movie made about me. The sad girl in the office.
Because this is the kind of thing that I get nerdy about. Not only is this 300 episodes, but when this episode is added in with all of our other episodes, we are coming up on 10 full days of recorded content for the show.
Somebody someday is going to use that as a torture method for somebody that they have kidnapped. They're going to put them in a room and make them listen to the podcast end to end without watching the movies first. So they're like, no, all these movies are getting spoiled and it's terrible content. I hate this.
Oh, wow. It's not terrible content, Michelle.
No, I'm just
we're
saying,
good
like,
at this.
but we could definitely be used as a torture device for somebody.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I know
We could
I'm
be
not.
used. I mean, this show could be used as a torture device for me.
See? Oh, you're going to be the one, and they're going to be like, listen to your own voice.
You have to listen to this. You've got 10 days that you're going to listen to in a loop over and over and over for the rest of your life.
Okay, Jigsaw.
That would be fucking awful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't got much else to say about Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Oh, I do have some. Michelle, you made it very, very clear, because I knew there was talk about a possible sequel or prequel to this. What do you know about that situation? You seemed like you had the definitive answer that it's never happening.
Yeah, Bloody Disgusting, I put out an article several years ago where I can't remember if they interviewed Scott Glosserman, but they definitely interviewed people involved with the movie who said there will never be a sequel. This is just good as is, and it should not have a sequel.
Well, I know there was like a script being written at one time for, what was it, Before the Mask?
Maybe. I just know that they definitely are not making it now.
Oh, well, yeah, that much I know. Is that, see, this is what I thought, is that you might know more about Before the Mask and what had...
what had transpired to get it not
right,
being made.
let's see. Yeah, for sure.
Before the Mask, The Return of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah, so in early 2017, director Scott Glosserman explained that the script for the sequel had become a little dated due to the changes in horror over the intervening years. Here's the quote. The script itself captures that mid-aughts period in the midst of the torture porn found footage genres. It had a lot of interesting things to say. Today, the script, that film, is almost like a period piece because I don't necessarily want to bring it up to current day, and yet certain things may feel a little bit old or period depending on how you look at it. I think we captured the essence of what was happening several years ago. If we do get the opportunity to make the film, I'm not sure I'd want to make the screenplay any more current. It's a little bit of a conundrum. So, I guess, it's looks like there had been talk of possibly doing another one, and eventually they just decided it wasn't a good idea. And I agree.
Which is
I'm
the
glad
right move.
Yeah, I'm glad that, I like that it shows him that it does the whole, stinger, he's still alive thing, because, again, that's a slasher trope, but I never at any point said, gosh, I wish there was another one of these.
No, I just want this, and to watch it once every couple of years.
For
and
sure.
I'm happy with that.
For sure.
Well,
all right, well, if you haven't seen it, go get it watched. Change your fucking life.
Kristen, if you're listening, which at some point you will be, it's not too scary. You can handle it.
And you should see it, absolutely.
Yep.
And for
It's not
anybody,
scary. You're gonna find Leslie hot. It's gonna be weird.
even
just go with it.
If the slasher parts of this, if this could have been a PG-13 slasher, with even with the one brief shot of boobs, I think you still could have got this in as it's very not a lot of on-screen violence, very very blood light. Yeah, this is one that. So if you're a little concerned about that sort of thing, definitely don't be. This is worth seeing, and it's an easy watch.
Yeah, it's there's a lot more tension than there is horror.
Yeah, sexual tension.
Sexual tension, I know, right? Oh, so good, so good. There's definitely fanfic of those two out there. There's got.
Oh, for sure, there's got to be. All right, well. I don't have anything else to say except thanks for 300 episodes, Michelle. Here's to 300 more.
Clink. If we had wine glasses, clink.
Right. Say goodnight,
Clink them
Michelle.
in your brain. Oh, good night, Michelle.